And welcome, everybody, to episode 30 of the Odyssey Hour, which means it's going to be really, really special, kind of, maybe. We'll see. We are all back. Welcome back, Haley.
Thank you.
So you have gotten rid of college, and you've gotten rid of your vacations, and so now it's just us.
Yeah.
Back to reality.
Yep. All paranormal all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can see that you're right there in support of that. So I can't believe, and I don't know if maybe you thought I was going to forget or you guys did, but remember how last week we talked about how we were all going to get out of our chairs and then sit down. I remembered, but I was like, I'll let it pass this week.
No, didn't remember at all.
I remembered until you said something.
Until I said something? You didn't remember until I said something?
I didn't remember until you said that, no.
What about you, Scott?
No.
Oh, jeez. My God. It's like that wasn't important to you guys. Can't imagine that would be the case. That's fine. We'll be cool next week. So we'll try it there.
You're going to have to remind me before we start.
We'll see if I
will not remember.
We'll have to test it. Like, we'll all be on like 5 minutes before and we're like, okay, let's all get on. We'll do a trial run and see if we can handle it.
Okay. That sounds like it'll be worth the effort.
Can I still wear pajama pants if we do that?
Yes, you can.
Perfect.
You know there's no dress code here. So
Good.
I mean, as long as there's dress somewhere, I guess that's good. So all right. Okay. So I'm not sure, since none of you, not a single one of you actually like responded in any way to my idea for tonight. Like no thumbs up, like nothing. I have no idea if you're good with my questions that I want answered tonight, or
I went over them.
I know you all went over them. Yeah. It shows me that y'all read it.
They're like deep questions.
They are deep questions. There's a reason for that. Say what, Sam?
I took the time to come up with answers.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So now, usually, as everybody knows, we kind of go off the cuff. We don't tell anybody what our topic's going to be until we're here live on air. But over the last couple weeks, I have come up with some questions that I thought would be really cool to answer and kind of give our watching audience and even ourselves, because we don't really get, I don't want to like in touch with our, inner people or whatever you want. Like, we don't really go deep, with our questions and in our topics. And I kind of wanted to change that just a little bit. And so this time I threw out the questions, 3 questions first, for everybody to know so they could actually develop their answers. So that's what's going to come. And then if we still have time, I'm sure Lauren's got like 3 topics that she could throw out.
You know it.
So we'll be doing that. So, okay. All right. Question number 1. All right. And these all kind of follow like a type of a theme. And so question number 1, if you could go back and change one thing or an event in your life, first, would you do it? And second, if you would, what is the thing that you would change? And still nobody wants to go first. What the hell?
I just assumed Sam was going to go first because he usually does.
I'm going first. Yeah. Give the delay a couple seconds to come across.
There's no delay.
Yeah, there is.
There is not. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
So I thought about this a lot, but like, you know, I went through a lot of things that have happened to me and stuff, and like I'm gonna do the cop-out answer and say I wouldn't change anything about what happened in my life because of the butterfly effect and like how that might change other things in my life. Like, you never know what little thing that might change that might snowball into like a really, really big change that you don't want. I'm really of the opinion that I don't mess with the past, but also like I think that most of the things that have happened to me in my life have been important in developing who I am as a person. And, you know, even though some things were less than ideal, you know, growing up and also after high school may not have been ideal, I still learned a lot from them, and I don't think I would change anything. I think I would keep everything exactly how it went.
Yeah, I'm with Sam. I'm also taking the cop-out answer, but it's because it's what I feel is the most true. I'm just a firm believer, I guess, that like what is meant for me will be meant for me, and what is not meant for me will not be meant for me. So, you know, obviously there's things that I would like to change or things that maybe I wish could have gone differently, but I don't think I'd change it. You know, I wasn't meant to go to a big party school and be doing Jello shots on a table or something like that. You know, like that's just not meant for me. So, yeah, I think that what's meant for me is meant for me.
You know, I think I phrased this question wrong, and I think what I should have said is, what would you change and would you do it? And would you change it? That's kind of, I just phrased it stupid. So, but
I mean, I can answer that if you want me to.
I can answer that too.
I would love it.
Okay, Sam, I can go, I guess, since I just talked.
I would probably, Did I not hear you correctly?
It's okay, you go ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I would probably change the school I went to, like the college I went to, because I think it was the wrong choice for a multitude of reasons. But also, like, it wasn't exactly the environment I needed to be in. Obviously, I wouldn't go back and change that. If it would be one thing, it would be, I think I would go to another school and take a different path and focus more on actually studying what I was going to do instead of not wasting my time, but I think I've dedicated too much of my time to theater when I should have been focusing more on studies. And I liked acting. Acting was really fun. But I think I would save acting for maybe my second year or my third year instead of doing it right when I started school, because acting in a play is a big time commitment. It's like 4 hours a day, every day, except for weekends. So that was a huge time commitment. I think it kind of contributed to me spreading myself too thin and contributed to my eventual mental health decline. So that's probably what I would do. Again, I wouldn't do it. But that's probably what I would do.
My answer is literally the exact same as Sam, which is funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would pick a different school. I think my college experience was like fine, honestly, but like I'd trade it for like a cool like certificate or something.
You would trade your college degree for a gift certificate? Is that
not
what
the
I hear?
degree, not the degree.
For an all-you-can-eat pasta pass at Olive Garden? Is that what you would exchange?
Yeah, or like a Cheesecake Factory gift card.
Yeah.
Like a good restaurant, you know,
worth $40,000.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
that's
just
Fogo.
Yeah.
That's Fogo to challenge.
Yeah, but Hamlin was just, I don't think it was a great for me. I wish I would have gone somewhere bigger and maybe further away, pushed myself out of the nest a little bit more and made more friends. And yeah, I think I just didn't super vibe with the small school. I love the location. I'm glad I was in St. Paul because I really love that city. But yeah, so I have the same answer as Sam. I think I would have picked a different school, but
made more friends. You have us.
I didn't make
what else do you
friends
need?
with you in college.
School friends. School friends.
Oh, well, fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Who wants to go next?
I can go. I think if I could change one thing, I wish I would have been more outgoing in high school. I think it took me a while to get out of my shell, and I wasn't nearly as confident as I should have been, and I think that held me back in a lot of ways. I'm happy with where I got eventually. College really helped me come out of my shell a little bit, but I wish I had done that a little sooner. Yeah, I don't know. I am happy with where I ended up because, you know, I love Minnesota. And like Haley, you said St. Paul is an amazing city because I went to school there too. I loved my college experience. I wish it did not get cut off by COVID. I think I would have loved to have 3 more months on campus, but instead we all got sent home. So that was fun. Yeah, I wish I would have come out of my shell and be a little more comfortable with who I was a little earlier, but it happened eventually. I just wish it didn't take so long.
So would you have changed? Would you change it?
Yeah, I'd go back and maybe like give myself a pep talk and be like, hey, it's okay. You can do this, you know, because like nobody was giving me a pep talk then. And I think I needed it. And it took me longer to come out of my shell than it should have. So yeah.
Gotcha. Scott, how about you?
Well, I wouldn't change anything. But maybe there are things I should have done differently, but I wouldn't go back and change them.
That's a change.
But
would you have chosen a different school?
No. No. But I don't think I could go back and change things because so much of what I did impacted the lives of so many other people that if I changed anything in my life, it would affect all of these other lives. So I couldn't change anything in my life. The only thing that I can think of that I might actually change is if I could have gotten my diabetes under control sooner, so that I didn't have to go through all the disability crap.
Yeah, I could see that. Or you would have let us know sooner when you were walking through, Ashmore Estates and Edinburgh Manor, where you didn't have any of that issues. But anyway, so I digress. All right. Since I went to community college for like a semester, not exactly the change that I would make there. Honestly, I was thinking about it, and obviously the older you get, the more regrets you have, and we all have them. I have plenty. A lot of stuff I did wrong and still do, but I would honestly have to say, if I were to change anything, I would not have been a coward, and I would have asked out the girl that I was interested in way back in the 9th grade. Instead of spending the next 13 years like in Fantasyville of the what if. What would have known, and if I did, chances are I'd probably be married with 2 kids by now, or more, depends. But interesting enough, her and I are really good friends now. So hey, there you go. Would I do it? as much as I absolutely want a family, I want to be married, I want to have kids. I can't say that I would go back and change anything, because you guys are right. It changes too many other things. And, who's to say? And the thing about it is that it doesn't just affect your friends or your family or you personally, but people you've never met, people you will never meet, people you say hello to on the street might have brightened their day. If you cut somebody off, or maybe you let somebody in, like in so many ways, we change people's lives that we don't even think about. And I can honestly say, and I mean, even though this was an interest of mine, I think that should, the life path or whatever had shifted in night, none of us would be right here right now. I don't think I would ever have joined the paranormal. It was everything would be different. But then again, none of us would know anyway. So, but still, the good that we have done, the good that I have tried to do personally, that would all be different. And the people that we have in some way, whether we know it or not, their lives are better for having known us, individually, not just the paranormal team, which some people, that's true too. Because we have been able to help people, and that would have been different as well. So I'm with you guys. So only Lauren is I'll just throw caution to the wind and I'll make sure that I'm okay. So
Watch more time travel movies.
You should watch more time travel movies. Yeah.
It's not like I can go back and do it. It's just like if I could. True. Yeah. I'm happy with where I am now. Don't take that as I wish I could change everything about my life. I'm happy where I'm at now. I just wish I could have been more outgoing in high school. Which I guess a lot of people could probably say the same, but
Yep. I wish I would have gone to the school gym or joined football or something, but
I would have gotten into acting earlier. If I would have started acting in like middle school, to be honest, because I enjoy it so much and I'm kind of good at it. So who's to say what could have happened if I pursued it and got more practice and more comfortable performing on stage?
Yeah, I mean,
the NYU.
I don't think any of us, are under the impression that if we went back and changed something, like our lives wouldn't have been better, for whatever reason. We'd have been a little further, or we'd been a little bit more outgoing, or Scott would hurt a little less, but at what cost? And I know it's kind of a moot point, as Lauren pointed out. It's not like it's going to happen, but I think a lot of people don't accept their lives as they are. They're always dreaming about other stuff or what could have been. I think it's important to accept and to realize that maybe you are right where you need to be. So
I think you're a lot happier that way, to be honest. I think
so too.
Accept where you land in life and this is what you're meant to do. That isn't to say just take whatever comes to you. That's two different things. Like, there's a difference between knowing that you aren't doing what you want to do, but also like accepting the fact that the choices you made had led you to this moment and you made the best choices you could have made with the information that was given to you, and it's very easy to look back at choices you made and get down on yourself, but like trusting that you are where you're supposed to be right now is a recipe to make you happier and also more equipped to, have yourself make more choices to put you in a better position in the future.
I that's actually what I'm going to have put on my tombstone when I finally pass. He did the best with what he had to work with.
Yeah.
So, and that's me right there. All right. Anybody have anything more they want to add to that one? Nope. All right. Question number 2. I swear to God, if like any of your questions are, will like the Twins ever win the World Series again? I'm going to be very upset. So, question number 2. If you could have one question answered, regardless of what it was, whether you were speaking to God, the universe, Mother Nature, doesn't matter. You have one question you get the answer to. What is it? And as a follow-up, why is that question what's important to you?
I can take this one if no one wants to go first.
Nice. Go, Lauren.
Okay. All right. I would ask God if we get to see our loved ones when we go to heaven again and spend eternity, just because I'm a Christian, for those of you that don't know. I know all of you know, but if anybody's listening, if you're curious. So I believe that when we die, we go to heaven or hell. And I'd like to know, I'd feel very comforted if I heard that we get to see all of our loved ones again when we return to heaven. I guess my main reasoning for that is I really, really hope that my grandparents are having fun up there waiting for the rest of us to get there. That's a very comforting feeling for me, because just like, if you're just thinking like, yeah, if you didn't die in a traumatic way and you're not like stuck here on Earth, like trying to get up there, it's kind of depressing, and it helps me process my grief to think of it that way. Like, oh, my grandma has just gone back up with my grandpa. They're together again. It's okay, kind of thing. It helps me process it. So I'd like to know that. I feel like that'd be a comforting thing to know. It'd make me a little less scared of dying, but yeah.
My answer's darker than that.
Which is fine.
A lot darker than that.
Again, which is fine.
I believe I would ask, how do we save the human race? That's what I would ask. And that goes along with like climate change. That goes along with like political polarization. That goes along with the ever increasing gap between the wealthy and the poor in this country, and how capitalism is kind of not taking over, but like the rich are profiting off the poor, and that gap is only going to get wider in the future. There's just a lot of factors at play that kind of spell doom for the human race in the near future. And I would ask, how do we save the human race? I would ask, what can we do to make it so that we can get along peacefully and preserve our existence?
I think
that's a good question, Sam.
I think it's fairly obvious though why it's important to you.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I kind of struggled with this one because I didn't know what I would want to ask, but I think I would probably want to know, what is how do I phrase this? I guess I would want to know, like, is there one religion that kind of has it right about what the afterlife is like, or like, what is that like? Because obviously I believe in spirits and all that, but I think that there's maybe different types of afterlife. But yeah, I mean, I'd want to know, is there a heaven and a hell that we go to? Is it sort of reincarnation? Is it just, does everyone become a spirit? Is it just nothingness? I don't know. And I guess I'd like to know the answer to that, because for me, faith has always been kind of something I don't really cling to. I've been pretty agnostic, or like, I guess I kind of like Buddhism. But yeah, I guess I'd like to know the answer to that, obviously, because I will die someday and want to know what's ahead, what's in store when that does happen.
Well, according to South Park, it's the Mormons.
It's the Mormons.
It's the Mormons.
Like, they're right?
They're right. Yeah,
Okay.
South Park had an episode where somebody died or whatever, and they met Jesus or something like that, and they was like, who was right? And it was like the Mormons, and then it showed heaven, and like the Mormons are up there, like playing ball or, whatever. It's it's funny, but anyway, I don't tell it right.
So I should stop drinking caffeine and alcohol because the Mormons are right. And
I don't know if the Mormons are right. I just say
Okay.
according to South Park. So it depends on how much you trust South Park to know what they're talking about.
Okay.
I trust South Park 0.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
Scott, how about you?
Okay.
That
Well,
was almost like a Scott exasperation,
Yeah,
more than a sigh.
I've thought about it a lot, but most of the questions I already have answers for. But the for prelude, I was thinking of all the millions upon millions of people who have been murdered and killed and abused and everything, and I question. I wanted to ask God, why did you allow that? But God's answer to that, I already know, was I didn't do that. You people did. That was your choice, your free will. So my question to God would be, what in the hell made you think that free will was a good idea? Why did you give us free will? I think that's the most dumbass thing you've ever done.
I honestly, I would pay to see you tell God off. Honestly, Scott, I gotta say, I'm surprised a little bit by your answer, but it's good. I'm sorry. Were you done? I kind of all right. I just kind of breezed in there. My apologies. Yeah, there's a lot of questions right along with Scott, in general, but honestly, the one that I would probably go with that would just kind of, I guess, put me at ease is, what exactly is the final goal? What is it we are all working towards? And, if it's, in the year 2500 or whatever, we reach, maximum happiness and there's no suffering and blah, blah, blah. And everything that we are doing now is what is leading up to that. All right. I guess I can get behind that. But if it's, you're just kind of living your life and doing, what Scott said, you have free will, you do whatever you want. I'm not really in charge of anything. It turns out the way it turns out. Well, that would be disappointing to me. I would like to know that what I am doing now is going to make some sort of difference, in the future, that my ripple and the ripple that we make, whether as a team, whether as individuals, matters. And I think that I would be very disappointed. I guess heartbroken would be a proper term for it, to know that no, nothing you're really doing matters in the grand scheme of things. So I would like to know. I would like to know that, is what we are doing now actually going to make a difference in the future? And that kind of goes along with yours, Sam. How is it that we save ourselves? Although when we asked that question, the only thought that came to my mind when you said that is, by the time you got done answering that question, we would all be dead. Because that's a long effing answer. Or it's so short.
Hope it'd be a simple answer. I would hope it would be a simple answer. But
if he wanted to be a jerk, and I'm assuming by Scott's question he is, you'd probably just be like, love each other. Well, thanks a lot, God. We'll get right on that. That's kind of the whole problem.
Easier said than done.
Exactly.
Can you help us out with that, God, please? Please? Can you help?
I'm not even going to get into it. That's a completely different topic, and we're not going to get into that tonight. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that one? What about you
No.
people? What about you people watching? Come on, you can get involved in this. You're all watching us, answer this question. Why don't you throw yours into the chat? Pam.
I had an honorable mention, which is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
No, that's right up there with the Twins winning the World Series. No, that
Okay.
does not mean anything. And yes, it is.
Alright.
So
Okay.
it is meat in between two pieces of bread. It's a
It
sandwich.
is.
It's a sandwich. Weird sandwich, but it's a sandwich. Okay. So I don't know if your guys have looked into this, have even heard of it. It's kind of been the topic that I've been shying away from for the last 3 weeks, where I'm like, yeah, I don't have to give my top. This has been it each and every time, and I've been waiting for this in order to do it. But what do you guys know, and what are your opinions of global consciousness?
So I tried to research it before, and I didn't come up with a lot of things that I thought you were referring to. There was a lot of articles that talked about global consciousness of just being aware of different issues going on in the world and supporting causes to address them.
That's
but
more
that's
social
not what you're
consciousness.
talking-
Yeah, that's more social consciousness.
So I think you are going to have to explain what you mean by global consciousness.
Yeah, I agree, because I didn't know if there was a concrete definition that I was supposed to know.
I don't know. I mean, this is actually a paranormal term. It is more recent. Not a lot of, I think a lot of the mediums and the people who really get into paranormal research, they all know about this stuff. They can answer intelligently, but I mean, it's not really a concept a lot of people talk about yet. So basically, this is another one of those long answers that I'm going to try and, narrow it here. Basically, that everyone on Earth, we share the same kind of massive consciousness. We all have our own, but everything that individuals do, this kind of goes back to the last question, affects everybody else on a conscious level. You could use the example of an empath. They can take in people's emotions, and then they can give them out. So that whatever affects one person affects us all in some fashion. I don't know who the hell I borrowed this to. I used to have it, but it was a Chad Kalick documentary, and he went over to Chillingham Castle over. Is that in the UK, Scott? Or is that Scotland, Ireland?
Yeah, it's in the UK, yeah.
Just in the UK? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So he went over, nice pajama pants.
Yep. Skin comfy.
Definitely you can wear those. Just not to an investigation.
No, of course.
Sorry. Got to draw the line somewhere. Anyway, he brought his team over there, and he set up a whole bunch of experiments that he was going to do there. He was going to have somebody be sleep deprived for 24 hours. He was going to have somebody on the hell, PCP, drugs. He was going to have somebody be on, hallucinogen. And he had somebody watch this absolutely insane video of all of these images that were crazy, and then see what happens when they go out and try to investigate by themselves. And what they didn't even realize when they were doing this is, and it wasn't even pointed out until the end, and pointed out to them until the end, is that each person that did their thing, even though nobody else was around them. Everybody else like reflected their mentality, and like the sleep deprived person who was investigating, everybody else that was down at base camp fell asleep. The person who was like completely, wired and everything, like everybody else was like just dancing all over the place. Like, so it kind of made the point of, regardless of whether you know it or not, you affect the people around you. And it's kind of like if you were to get the difference between a dance and like a funeral. If you're at a funeral, everybody's sad. If you're at a dance, everybody's happy, because that's kind of, the energy that you put out there. And obviously this is on a global scale. So, Serena says this. Yes, he did. And that's, Serena, that is actually where I first heard it. And I have since talked to him about it. And apparently he's on some sort of research now that makes global consciousness look like a birthday party, or however he phrased it. But yeah, so I guess my question is, what are your opinions on the fact of, even though, yes, we are individuals, we have our own consciousness and our own free will and everything, but we all are connected in a certain way? Could have just asked that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam. I was
Probably.
trying to be very detailed.
You were. It was a good explanation.
It was helpful.
We all
Thank
got there eventually.
I eventually make my destination, Sam.
Yeah. I like the theory for sure, and I think it makes kind of logical sense too. We're all made of the same stuff, us as humans. Like, we all have the same energy coursing through our veins, so I think it would make sense that we would have some sort of link that links all of us together. I don't know if it's true, but it makes sense to me. And I think if there are people that take that as gospel in the world, I wouldn't bat an eye, because it makes sense. But there are certain other explanations for the behavior in that one experiment, but I guess it's, if you want to call it just the power of suggestion and the fact that we're social animals and we've always been subject to peer pressure, and that's just how our brains operate. Or if you want to liken that to, yes, we all have a global consciousness, so if one person feels one thing because of the global consciousness, not just because our brains like to imitate what's around us, because of global consciousness, that's why they were all asking the same or acting the same. So I think it's depending on what you want to call it, what you want to define it as, but I think it achieves the same thing, no matter if you take a scientific approach or a more paranormal spiritual approach to it. But when you think about it, it's like you always run into situations where you get, like, say you're walking into a room with a lot of people and something happens and you can just feel the energy in the room change, and everybody's feeling the same thing at the same time. Like, if you're in a crowd and somebody passes out in the crowd, people are like all feeling the same thing at once. Everybody's the same reaction to it. So, and I think it happens with stuff that isn't that obvious too. Like, you can sense when a room starts to get awkward or when a room starts to have tension in it, So I don't know if that's global consciousness or not, that we're all linked so we can all send each other the kind of same signals. But I think it's fascinating, and a thing that I would definitely be interested in exploring, to see if it really is a thing, or if we're just social creatures, and that's just how it works.
There is one thing before any of you other guys go that I want to, that just kind of came to my head. And that is, anybody who's watched Paranormal State. I think it's in the second season. There's an episode that they have called I Am Six, and it was a case of demonic possession. And they tried something I don't think anybody has since. And Ryan Buell, who's now a has-been, but director of the team, went to YouTube and recorded a video, and where he called on every single person that watched the video at a very certain time, light a candle and say a prayer directed at this person and this house. And they got it. They had hundreds of people record videos of them lighting a candle and saying a prayer. And whether you believe it or not, I don't know, but they said that that was like the very first night in months or whatever that this person had slept through the night peacefully. So, I mean, is that not an example of something like this, where you can bring people from all over the world to focus on a peaceful message to one specific person, and that helps them?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is what the Global Consciousness Project is about. I think there are 30 centers around the world that are involved in this, gathering information about that type of thing and carrying on a worldwide experiment that's been going on for over 20 years now.
Well, they're not in any hurry, are they?
Yeah, well, they plan to do it for a long time to come. But there are scientific research facilities all over the world, and they are trying to gather information like what you were just talking about trying to get people to send positive energy, or to send positive thoughts or prayers or whatever, and they are using scientific data and computers to study this phenomenon, to try to prove that global consciousness actually exists. And I believe in it myself, but I think that some people are probably better at it than others. I have a feeling that it's sort of like a talent or something, where some people are just born with it and others have to learn it. But I think we can all learn it if we try to work at it and put it into practice. I think there is a connection between all of us. Well, I think everything is connected. Everything that exists is connected at some level or other. But so.
Gotcha.
So, go ahead.
Interesting. I hadn't heard of that before.
Gotcha. Lauren, you look contemplative.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of with Haley. I hadn't really thought about it before, but it makes sense. And I did try to look up global consciousness, and I went it took me directly to the Global Consciousness Project, which I think is what Scott was just talking about. Mm-hmm. The big global thing to try to send positive energy. I like the idea. I do know, well, at least I believe that we are all connected. We're all here for some reason or another. We obviously don't know what that is, because then you would know the reason behind life, which I don't believe anybody really does. But I do really agree with Sam that when something, especially a large scale event, happens, a lot of times, especially if you're relatively close to it, you can feel there's a shift, I remember everybody, I don't mean to bring up 9/11, but I remember everybody saying after 9/11 happened, it just felt very eerie. And I think it was because like people were psyching themselves out, and also there's a lot of background noise, like the planes weren't going. There was dead silence in the air for like 3 straight days. And there's a lot of little things that I think throw people off that may be misinterpreted as I feel there's a change in the air. I think there are some environmental factors that maybe people don't realize that are giving them that thought. But then again, I go back to, okay, I saw this Mythbusters episode where they put people in rooms not knowing that they're next to somebody that's in a room like right next to them, and they all started yawning at the same time. Like one person in one room yawned, and the next person and the next person, and they had no idea what they were even there for, so it kind of spread. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think about this in like 2 ways, and I haven't really come up with a way to explain this. So I'm sorry if this sounds kind of off the wall, but I do believe we are connected in some way. I can't wrap my mind around it right now. Yeah. That was a little all over the place. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like this idea of global consciousness. It reminds me a lot of the idea in like Buddhism that there is no self, but rather there's a sense of connectedness. So like, I don't know, when you think about fear, it's like sometimes when you're afraid of something, you get very caught up in like, oh, I'm afraid. But if you think about it, like we all kind of have the same fears. We're afraid of losing loved ones. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of death. We're afraid of changes. Everybody has these same fears. So it's not really like it's your fear, it's the fear. Or it's the same thing with anger or sadness. It's not necessarily your anger, it's the anger, the sadness. And I do think that can be a powerful thing to rely on, to sort of remember that, you know, this isn't just me that feels this. Obviously, every person's experiences leading up to this emotion or whatever it might be are going to be different, but everybody feels those same sort of feelings, that the fear, the anger, whatever it might be. However, I do think I like what Lauren kind of said, that like sometimes there's little things, like I don't know that I think 9/11 was like a global consciousness thing. I think that was a big traumatic event that everybody experienced, and planes were quiet. Obviously, that's going to make you feel weird. I don't know if I think that was like our minds all syncing up. And I do think we have to be careful not to use this idea of global consciousness to like oversimplify very big issues in the world, like racism and sexism and transphobia and things like that. Like, because I don't know. I don't want it to start to become a thing like, oh, we're all connected and like there's no hatred in the world, when like there is, and there's serious issues that need to be fixed and talked about, I guess. It's kind of, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
No, it definitely makes sense. It can be used as a cop-out to like, to not justify the things that happen in the world, but not to undermine the things that are happening in the world that are like very real and happen to people, you know. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Well, all right. Thank you guys for indulging me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know why you were afraid to bring that up.
No, I wasn't afraid to bring it up. I was just waiting, obviously, until I knew we were all going to be together to do so. But no, I wasn't afraid to bring it up. I just didn't know, because as I'm sure everybody that watches this knows, we like to come on and have a good time. We do like to inform, you know, as much as possible, but also entertain. And even though we do hit some pretty serious topics, we don't typically get personal and serious at the same time. So I don't want to throw you guys for a loop. That's all. But all right, Lauren, throw
right.
some of those
We
topics.
got 10 minutes.
Okay. Does anybody have anything that they want to? A question. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, wait.
Alright.
I guess Mike never said what his thoughts were on global consciousness. I was kind of curious.
Oh, you're right. I gave such a long explanation of it. I figured that was my answer.
Okay. Okay.
Well, no. I think it's real. I don't know to what extent yet. You know, I'm with you. I'm hoping it's never used as a cop out to get rid of social issues that definitely need to. I think it can help to get over them if we all, you know, get into it together. I think that is possible. I just hope that it's never used as, you know, a crutch for things. I definitely think it's real. But again, I think right now you have to work at it. It's not coming naturally to people. And like, you really have to make, please forgive my terminology, a conscientious effort to like actually do it. I don't think right now it's just going to happen all willy-dilly. So that's it. That's me. Otherwise, I explained everything and blah, blah, blah. But yeah. Okay. Lauren, go ahead.
I need to go get my list. Hang on 1 second. I didn't have it right by me.
A list. She has a list.
She does have a list. And apparently she was unprepared.
I didn't have it right next to me. I'm sorry. I know. Oh my God. It was over on the other side of my room. How dare me?
That's right. And now we're like 15 seconds behind schedule.
Okay. All right. I feel like this is going to be a quick one, but I want to get all y'all's opinion on this. So every time I watch a paranormal TV show, there is some reference to the hour of 3 a.m. being the devil's hour.
Oh, the witching hour or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, 3 a.m. The theory.
There's 5 different names for it. Is
exactly, but the main theory, boiling it down, from how it's been explained on a lot of the shows and the research I've done, is it is when the veil between the two worlds is the thinnest, and therefore where the most activity is said to occur. Again, that's a theory. I just want to know y'all's opinion. I could see, Mike, you're very obvious with what your opinion is. But I'd like to hear why or why not you guys think that is true or not.
Let me answer in a face.
Like you didn't already?
Yeah, that was my face.
You already did. I don't think. Oh, Scott,
you want to go first?
Sure. I was just going to say, I can't see your face, Mike. I just have a blank screen.
Just
anyway, but
just think that it looked like a gargoyle.
So just your usual look. Okay.
Right.
Oh, that was good.
Scott's savage today.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is,
do you believe in the witching hour?
Yeah, do you believe in the theory that 3 a.m. is the most dangerous hour, whatever it is?
That varies from who you're talking to, what country they're from, what religion they belong to, what philosophy they follow. Some say it's midnight, some say it's 1, some say it's 2, some say it's 3. It's just a matter of opinion. I don't think that any one of them is correct. It could be any time, depending on the time doesn't really matter. No, it's how you connect with the spirit realm or whatever it is you're trying to connect with, and time is irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't think we even have to add on to that. Like, I think we all agree with that. Unless somebody doesn't, you can speak up. But everything that Scott said.
Yeah, because what's 3 a.m. here isn't 3 a.m. in the rest of the world. So is the veil only thinnest in Central Time Zone?
Time zones. We made them up.
It's a traveling veil. Haley, you didn't know that?
So the ghosts, like, they go, ooh, we're in Central.
We're in Central
They
Time
travel
now.
with the veil.
Oh no, ooh, mountain time, you know?
God.
Okay.
Do they observe daylight savings or not? That's the thing. Do they observe it?
All right, well, that was a quick answer. I have another question then, if
Well,
we're all good.
I haven't been able to answer, well, except with my face. But,
Yeah, you already answered with your face.
So, hold on. There's some more. There's some context to the face.
Okay.
So, you know, the I don't want to say the normal, but like the popular version of why 3 a.m. is considered that is, you know, called the witching hour and everything, is because apparently it is the exact opposite of when people believe Jesus Christ was born. People believe he was born at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Therefore, the exact opposite of that, which is evil, is now 3 a.m. And that has had so many different renditions and rumors and shit thrown into it that it's complete poppycock. In all of my years, I have never seen more activity at 3 a.m. than I have at 11. It's crap, even though there are so many people who believe in that. Like, they design their entire investigations to go from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and they're really looking forward to this 3 a.m. because that's when everything is going to happen. And it's dumb. And Haley, I think you made a phenomenal point that I've never heard anybody make. You know, 3 a.m. here, yeah. But it ain't 3 a.m. in China.
Yeah.
You know, it's just right where you. And what does that mean? It's crap. And I should just stop with my face, but that's okay. Yeah, let's go with one more.
Okay. Let me find a quick one here. Ooh, okay. I know Sam will like this question. It's about the Mothman.
Oh.
Ooh.
And there's always the idea that, or theory, that he is a bad omen or an angel of death. Do you believe that? Why or why not?
I think it's interesting that there have been so many sightings surrounding disasters. But also I'm very wary to believe it because I think it can turn into the thing of like kind of matrixing weird experiences to be attributed to the Mothman, even though you don't have any proof of it. Like, oh, I saw something weird last night and then this thing happened. So that was obviously the Mothman that I saw. And then your brain changes details to fit your narrative that you set for it. So me, as always, I'm very wary to go 100% in anything, but there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that there have been multiple Mothman sightings before natural like disasters. Like there's even claims that people saw the Mothman in Minnesota days before the 35W bridge collapse and stuff like that. So like I find it fascinating. So there are people that like, and there's a really great podcast that I listen to too that has that was more of like a fantasy take on cryptids and stuff like that, and they were personified and stuff. And the Mothman character in that show has like prophesizing abilities, can see the future and stuff. So that's kind of the theory about Mothman, that it kind of a prophesizing entity that can see the future. So no one really knows why he's around these things, but obviously maybe he has some sort of notion that something is going to happen. I don't think he's trying to warn people, or maybe he is and he's just really terrible at it. But yeah, I'd like to believe it.
I don't really have a ton to add, I guess, because somehow I had never heard this before. I guess I just don't know much
Really?
about Mothman. Yeah, I don't think, I mean, maybe I
Mothman's
have, and I just don't.
cool. He's so
Yeah. Yeah.
You haven't heard
Is
of
he-
Mothman?
No, I've heard
No,
of
she
Mothman.
has.
I haven't heard that he appears before disasters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe I haven't, I just forgot. But so I guess that's really interesting to me. But I don't know much about it.
Gotcha. Sky, you have anything to add?
No, I've heard that some people believe that he is there as a warning, to try and warn people, but that something is going to happen. But That's like Sam said, doesn't seem very good at it because it still happens. But I don't have anything more to say.
Gotcha. Yeah, Sam, I did hear the rumors, and apparently they even got it like on one of the CCTV cameras. This winged man at the 35E bridge or 35W bridge.
W.
Yeah. I think they saw him a couple days before. I think they saw it like as it happened. That he was somehow there, and then obviously there's I believe it's the Silver Bridge at Point Pleasant that he was there.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know whether he's an omen, whether he's a spectator, whether he's just there to witness it for whatever reason. He seems really, really good with bridges. That's been his thing for a while, is he appears and a bridge goes down. But I mean, like, there's been, God, I want to like at least 60, maybe even 100 different viewing sightings of him in the Chicago area in the past like 5 years. No natural disaster, no nothing. Is it a coincidence? Does he know? I honestly don't know what his goal or motivation is going into it. If it is to warn people, you're right. He's terrible at his job. If it's just to watch, then he's amazing. He gets to see it all. And until you can actually like sit down and have a conversation with them, it's all going to be speculation. So, Lauren, what about you? What do you think? Last thoughts.
I have always been fascinated by these cryptids and mythical creatures, I guess you could say, that can like foresee the future or are an omen of something, like they know something's coming. The one that I specifically think of is the Banshee. Obviously, if you like hear her or see her, something bad is going to happen. Either you die or a person that you love dies. Same thing with like seeing a black dog kind of thing, like a black wolf or like something with red eyes.
The hellhound?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm always fascinated by the cryptids that are said to have those kind of foreseeing abilities, I guess. I kind of liken it to, how like sometimes pets can tell when you're sick before you're actually sick kind of thing, or they know something's wrong before you know something's wrong. I kind of liken it to that. I don't know if they're just being there to scare people off or just see what's going to happen, but I think they can just sense that something's going to happen and they just have that sixth sense. But I just think it's really interesting and kind of cool. Yeah. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. So thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, that does it for us this week. Thank you for everybody who joined us for this 30th episode of the Odyssey Hour. We'll be back next week with an all new show. Just one quick thing is that the Minnesota Para-Unity Convention is now only like 3 weeks away. It's right on our damn doorstep. And so head on over and get your tickets if you haven't so far, mnparacon.com. And hopefully we'll see y'all in July, because we're all going to be there. All right. Everybody have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe. Get your vaccine if you haven't so far or haven't yet. We want to see you back here next week. Everyone have a great night.